Hey Addicts, we're here to talk about Love is War episode 7. As you can probably tell, Michael isn't here. He's unfortunately out of town, but we're going to carry on the torch in his honor, so we're going to dive right into it. As per usual, we get 3 skits with this episode. The first one being a continuation on some of the other skits we've gotten in previous episodes with that couple that both the president and the vice president now have helped with on relationship advice. The guy actually comes back to the president, kind of like half gloating, half asking for his advice on how to hold hands with this chick that he hasn't been able to do anything with in like a month. And so the president, being kind of a workaholic, he gives him some very non-simplistic plans on how to go about that. Which ends up being pretty hilarious, and we actually get the secretary and the vice president later on in that skit intervening and kind of just demolishing all the plans that the president had worked out for the guy. So then we get on to our one thing I will say that I did like about it, because go into a little bit of things that I like, and then we'll get into more of the Creek stuff after we talk about everything. But I did like seeing how in detailed and meticulous the president was in all of his advice, even though it's like, wait, why wouldn't you just, go with the advice that the secretary did? I would feel like that would be the go-to, and just seeing how the president sometimes overanalyzes things is pretty great. Now we get into the second sit, which is, I would say, maybe my favorite out of this episode. We get to see that they're doing a lot of club talk. The president and Ichigami actually are talking about the budgets in particularly, and seeing how they're going to have to scale some back or add funding for more other ones. And Ichigami has a very interesting approach on how he deals with deciding on how the budget's going to be handled, and I really found that amusing because, since he's a newer character, first off, I was glad to see that he's actually in this episode again, so I guess confirming that he's going to be in them now on, but just also getting more of his character, so that was great. But we also get Ishigami making some remarks about the vice president, which do not go well for him, which leads to him being like paddled and also going home to write his will. So that's always great. The third one is also another great one. We get to see that the vice president and the secretary are talking, and the secretary makes a remark that she loves seeing the vice president smile, and that she looks forward to a day where she can just laugh uncontrollably. And so the vice president's like, oh, that'll never happen. But then just coincidentally, the secretary finds a weakness of the vice president, because kind of harking back to one of the other skits later or previously in some of the other episodes, is that the vice president had basically no knowledge of anything sensual in the world. And so because that was kind of an embarrassing situation for her, she's been brushing up on knowledge. But since she just now started, she's basically at the level of like an elementary student, and so her sense of humor, or vulnerability to that sense of humor of like dirty stuff and very immaturely, I guess you could say it too, is where she's at right now, and the secretary exploits that after she finds out. And so seeing that was funny, but I think probably my favorite part of that skit was seeing the president react to the whole situation, and then Ichigami being probably very misunderstood, or having a misunderstanding as he's listening outside. So that's it for the episode in terms of what happened and probably what I most liked about each skit. Going on to more of a critique, like I said, the second and third one I really like. I like seeing that we're getting more of Ichigami. Man, that poor guy, he always gets the short end of the stick. I also like seeing the interactions between all the characters. I think Michael said probably in the last episode that we covered, the way that the treasurer has this new dynamic. It's different, and it's so different than all the other ones, but it fits so well, and it's such a refreshing part of this. These episodes that he's been introduced in, and probably for the rest of the back half of the season. But I will say one gripe I do have is the first skit. I still enjoyed it, and it still put a smile on my face, but it is something that it is, like, out of all of the previous skits to build on, this is probably the one that I wouldn't have chose, and so that leaves me a little disappointed that we don't get something else, but I'm still hopeful that we'll get something, blossom out of this, because since the president and the vice president will be getting relationship advice, I feel this is going to harken back to their feelings and their relationship directly later on. Might have something to do with it. So if we get that kind of a payoff, I'm okay with it. But right now, it's like I'm still enjoying it, but it's starting to wear down on me. But with that being said, I still really like the episode, and we're looking forward to the next episode as always. Again, this is a series. I haven't had an episode that has disappointed me. There are some that are definitely better or highlighted more, I think, for me personally than the others. But this season has been really good. I think I could compare it to Cells at Work from like last season. Because it's just one of those shows that's funny, and I love all the episodes. I will say though, I think we haven't gotten done with the season yet, so still time will tell. But at least so far, Cells at Work had like 1 or 2 episodes that were kind of like could do without. This one, all of them I'm loving so far. So like I said, still have to wait to see, but I'm really liking it, and so I highly recommend that you guys go watch this episode if you haven't already. Because it is one that's worth watching as soon as it comes out, or if you haven't checked out this series at all or haven't even heard of it until this point, you should go check it out, because it's a really fun show that it does have like a romance kind of element to it, but at the heart of it, it's the comedy and kind of playing on that rom-com stuff. So with that being said, really liked it, and you guys go check it out. We'll be back for more videos this week. I know it's been really crazy. We haven't had any for a little bit, but with Michael being out of town, I had some personal things that I had to deal with. So there will be a flood of content coming. Not sure when, but do stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot in here. So I'm going to shut up now, and I'll just see you guys next time. Later, Addicts.